Shares of Target are under pressure as it disappointed when it came to same-store sales growth. Sales, in fact, continue to fall. Another issue haunting the company is the upcoming Pride Month in June. You may recall that last year, big brands like Target and Bud Light received substantial backlash from customers in the U.S., selling off the stock in protest to the company hosting LGBTQIA+ merchandise. This year, Target is trimming back Pride items in stores, saying it's based on historical sales performance. But our next guest says they're making a big mistake. Andrew Winston is a sustainability strategist at Winston Eco Strategy, and he joins us now. And Andrew, it's such a fascinating conversation because it's almost, there's backlash to the backlash, right? So specifically after the pandemic, you saw a lot of companies decide we're going to take a social stand. And maybe unexpectedly, there was this backlash to that, Target facing it. And so they're kind of pulling back. How do you think about how all of this is unfolding?
Well, look, first we should say, obviously, it's not easy for these executives. Some of this is trying to protect their employees, right? Last year at Target, there were actual threats of violence. I think there were bomb threats. There were people destroying merchandise. But this, not every issue is the same, right? And making statements on diversity or making statements on supporting LGBTQ, I'm just going to say pride, because that's the way Target talks about it, pride merchandise. Not every issue is the same. And Target sells to lots of different segments, and market segmentation is pretty normal. They're selling to the pride community and their allies. And I don't know what makes that, specifically different, right? From why is that woke versus selling golf equipment to golfers or cat stuff to cat owners? What is it about this segment that upsets people?
Well, some people have religious affiliation. They are morally against it. I think it's a lot more polarizing than golf, though in my household, I'd say golf is the most polarizing topic. But it is affecting sales, right? And I think that's where the executives have to make a corporate decision, and that's what they say they're doing. And you wrote an article saying that it's a mistake to back down from it.
Well, look, I think looking back at last year, Bud Light and Target, it gets reported a lot, but I don't think it's perfectly clear why sales dipped if they did for many reasons. Some of it was people not happy with their actions on backing down against this violent rhetoric. And so it's hard to say. And if you're not sure which group you're going to annoy and you're not sure how big they are, in the end, I believe you have to make a moral choice. And there's a lot of times in history where as rights expand, as people find different ways to live, and in this case, people want to love who they want to love and marry who they want to marry, people get upset. But I'm not sure why we should look at merchandise decisions based on who's upset. And in particular, I think, companies want to attract and retain the talent and the consumers in the younger generation. And something like supporting pride or LGBTQIA is just a core value in the younger generation. It's going to put them in a pretty bad position in the longer run, right? So there's this short-term trade-off of, are we avoiding any hit to sales, but we're not sure, for this long-term, I think, unease that they create with their brand with younger members of the community, with their own employees. And in a way, I'm just suggesting that they live up to their values. They have stated, if you go to Target's website, their values, inclusivity is their first one. And they have a history of supporting this and believing it. And while this isn't easy, it's not great when you back down from your values. I don't think it's good for the brand. I don't think it works for the company in the long run.
Well, maybe it highlights the hypocrisy of these for-profit enterprises dabbling in social justice issues when clearly at the end of the day, it is profit that wins out, right? They wouldn't be making this decision if it wasn't affecting their sales and how other people viewed the brand.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, you step back and say, why are they doing Pride merchandise to begin with? I guess they're being accused of it being some woke agenda. No, I think they're doing it because they believe it helps the business, right? They think it's good for the business. They're targeting a segment that is growing, by the way. 30% of Gen Z identify in some way with the LGBTQ community. So it's a large segment. And again, as I said before, I was being provocative, but we target segments in retail all the time. And the question is, why should we give in to people who are angry about this one? Because look, let's be blunt. The anti-LGBTQ voice is just bigotry. It's not a political position. It's not something we should be giving, I think, credibility to. because it's uncomfortable is not a good enough reason to back down from it. I mean, look, they faced some violence, but to me, that's when you call the FBI, you call the police. You don't decide your merchandise based on threats, because think about it, what's next? What if people come out and say they don't like merchandise during Black History Month, or they don't like certain books because they find them offensive? Are they going to make their decisions based on the angriest contingent out there? It doesn't seem like it's good for the business.
So is the advice then maybe to executives to think about those second and third order effects of taking a stance? Was the mistake here not really being prepared or having a backbone, as it were, because there was some backlash to your point about the angriest consumer out there?
Look, I think every company's facing these decisions now. I think companies get into more trouble in a way when they go it alone. And sometimes on issues that we want to call controversial. Again, I think this one doesn't really fit quite the same as others. Sometimes it's just best to go out with a community, with your peers, with other retailers, and they do this. Some of this happens already, but have joint efforts if they need to be talking to the government about some policies, which is what also comes up in these issues, right? Companies have chimed in on policies, laws that have been passed in the state on, say, bathroom bills or gay rights. Companies get involved not just with their merchandise choices, but through their policies. It's a lot easier to have collective courage. It's easy for someone like me on the outside to say, hey, be more courageous. I mean, that's in a way not that helpful. But I think to think strategically about it, if you bring together organizations, there is a collective courage in that. So you're not out on your own. So you are saying, look, as a community, this is what we believe in. And when that's been done, it generally works a lot better. When you see 100 companies sign something to, say, a governor or to the president even, to say, this is what we believe, these are our values, and we're going to stand behind them.